So let's go back to your evolution. It showed up front and center when a certain guest ended up on the on the Breakfast Club, and you had another viral moment, and that's Dame Dash. Don't we love when Dame Dash comes up there?
Yeah, he's had a couple very memorable conversations with us on Breakfast Club.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation about this one for so many reasons. One of the things that people were talking about was how exploitative it seemed to have him up there. Because
I didn't see that angle.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, he didn't seem well, and it seemed like he just is kind of going through something, maybe some like a little bit of mental anguish or whatever the case is, and he didn't perform at his best up there. And at one point, the tension got really high between the two of you, and he started throwing insults at you laced with homophobia, and you not only handled it with grace. I feel like it was a moment in which you really put a spotlight on something that at one point used to be a flex and now it no longer is. To accuse somebody of being, gay or homosexual or whatever, and you were like, and even if I am, so what? Like, what's your point? Why is this meant to be an insult towards me? And I thought that not only showed your evolution, but it also just was a real demarcation in the whole conversation around masculinity and Black masculinity specifically. This goes back to women begging men to go to therapy and fix their issues. But I think that was just, it highlighted so many things. It highlighted a recognition of the old guard.
Yeah. He represents an old model.
Yeah.
I represent a new model.
Yes, exactly. And so that just led to like a lot of conversations around Black masculinity and how outdated the model is in terms of that mode of thinking, that to be fearful of being called or accused of being gay or homosexual or whatever the case is. But you decided to like take a very specific stance of, and if I was.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like, I mean, it's like, the thing about me is like, what was that going to do?
Yeah.
Like it didn't bother me in no way, shape, or form. It's just like, okay, and it felt like middle school. Like that's the type of stuff you would say in middle school. Like, oh, you're gay. It's like, all right, bro, that's the best you got. Like, you know what I mean? I do wish, the one thing I do wish about that interview, and we did have like an interaction about it throughout the interview, when I was just saying how you haven't evolved in however many years it's been. I kept calling him broke because I knew that would like really bother him, right? Because he's such a superficial person. I wish I would have had a more conversation about him being broken.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why I wish I would have had more of a conversation. That's why I dropped the ball in that interview. I should have had a conversation with him about being broken, because that's not a 55-year-old grown man. Like, I see a hurt little inner child in there. Like, I see a little boss baby.
Yeah.
Like, not even trying to be funny. Like, I see a little boss baby inside of him. And I think, that little boss baby needs a hug. Like, he needs his diaper change and needs to feel some TLC. I'm serious.
No, I'm laughing because I agree with you. I see this a lot. I see a lot of, arrested development, especially within this, our culture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of arrested development. There is a lot of, inner child trauma, which people think is like a hokey kind of, woo-woo thing to say, but it is a very, very real thing.
It's real.
You talk about your inner child in the book. You talk about, being cognizant of the different versions of yourself that you are reparenting. These are such incredible, topics and just like ideas that I wish more men had an idea about and would embrace.
I think they are. You know what? You need to come to one of my mental health expos.
I would love to.
Because I think you would change your stance on, wanting to be with a man.
Why?
I'm serious. No, I'm dead serious. Like my mental wealth expos, I did one. This year I've done one every year for the last 5 years. This is my 5th annual Mental Wealth Expo. And it's literally like thousands of people coming there just to listen to all of these different psychiatrists and therapists and spiritual leaders. There are a lot of men that are doing the work, and there are a lot of men that are willing, to do the work. And I'm not saying that, women have to help put together a man in any way, shape, or form. But I got a lot of homegirls who say things like, I'm not even dating a man who's not in therapy.
Yeah.
I totally understand that, respect that, and appreciate that. But you have to know that if that man is working on himself and you get with him while he's in that process, that is work in progress. So just like you're going to have your good days and your bad days, this man is going to have his good days and his bad days. But you just want to see that he's willing to do the work, and at least he's attempting to do the work. Don't get with him because he's telling you, yeah, I'll get in therapy,
No.
if you get with me.
No.
Like, no.
That would never happen.
Yeah, you got to already be doing that work on your own.
And I have like questions, to judge whether or not you're paying attention in your therapy sessions, or if you're just weaponizing, the idea of being in therapy to just get
as you should. Because men, I'm telling you, men and women, humans. Let me say humans. Humans don't hurt each other just because. Everybody is projecting. Everybody. Everybody's got some wound or some pain or some hurt that they felt that they haven't dealt with, and they go project that onto other people. That's why I don't get caught up in stuff like road rage, you know what I mean? Or like, I read a story the other day where this young lady held a door for someone, and the woman didn't say thank you, so she went behind the woman to get her thank you. They end up in a fist fight. Then the woman ends up pulling out a gun and killing the girl in front of her 20-year-old daughter. And I'm just like, at what point did somebody not say, all right,
it's not worth it.
This isn't about me holding the door. This isn't about that person not saying thank you. Like, there's something else going on with both of these individuals, right? And they couldn't wait to project that pain on each other. So it's just like, humans aren't naturally just wired to hurt each other. Something happened.
Yeah.
And I think that we got to remember that about each other.
Yeah. I think you talk a lot about our algorithms being very subjective, and we can create these algorithms, and sometimes there's stuff that just kind of gets funneled to us. But I will admit that my algorithm is very specific. There's a lot of cats and dogs in there because for the, just I need the laughter, and I need just, the good heartfelt moments. There's a lot of travel, because I'm constantly thinking about where I want to go next and what part of the world, part of the globe I need to see. There's a lot of women empowerment stuff. But a lot of times when you do have the women empowerment part of your algorithm, a lot of the other side is going to filter itself in. And that's the gender war-y, masculinity versus femininity, whole rhetoric and stuff like that. And it does start to, kind of have an effect on you. I guess it's not that I don't believe that there is a huge swath of the male population that is interested in growth and evolution and their mental health. I absolutely believe that. I think that the ones that aren't, I think that the manosphere, red pill nation podcast bros, I think that they are so much louder.
But that's the loud minority a lot of times.
And then when you see the comments, well, not only that, I mean, when you read cases like Giselle Pellicot, the woman in France.
Oh, yeah.
Whose husband was basically renting out her body for about 10 years and drugging her in the process to where she didn't even know what was happening to her. And then this became like this massive case in France, and 51 men saw some kind of level of prosecution, but it was up to 80 men that had participated in this. And they were doctors, lawyers, grandfathers, fathers, brothers. They were all, pillars of society and members of society, professional, et cetera, et cetera.
But they was buying pussy. The problem
they were not buying pussy. They were graping.
But wasn't he selling her? I thought he was her husband or something.
She was unconscious.
Oh,
he was drugging her.
Gotcha.
And renting out her body.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
That was wild. And so when you hear things about that, when you see the swath of men from all walks of life participating in something like that, when you hear about this group chat of like 72,000 men sharing pictures of their wives and girlfriends in an intimate manner and exchanging stories as to how to manipulate women and drug them and take advantage of them. And I mean,
listen, there's some men that you trust to bear more. What was that shit y'all was arguing about? The bear or the man? Whatever. There's some men
if
you
you
trust.
ran into a strange man or a bear in the woods, who would you choose? 98% of women chose the bear, and men lost their ever-loving minds.
I mean, because it is a very ridiculous thing.
You
but I understand why women could feel that
Here's
way.
the thing. If the bear kills me, that's fine. At least he didn't grape me. At least he didn't sexually assault me. At least he didn't like violate my corpse.
But what if that guy is running from the bear too, and the guy's trying to? And
it's entirely possible, and this is I want men to really truly understand why women have no choice but to be fearful. You have 4 daughters.
Absolutely.
I need to know what, and one of them, your oldest is I believe 16, 17.
Let me ask you a question. Have you had more positive experiences with men than negative?
That's an interesting question. I have had extraordinarily fulfilling and have fulfilling platonic relationships with men. Absolutely.
So,
I have had not the greatest personal romantic relationships with men.
So based off that, you know that all men aren't terrible human beings.
I do know that. However, I will say this. You want to know one of the reasons why women watch all that murder, death, kill stuff, all the serial killer stuff? Because we're trying to understand what threat looks like. Because usually it's presented as somebody who's very, very normal. The BTK killer, Dennis Rader, he was a pillar of his community. He was an active member of his church. You know, John Wayne Gacy, same thing. Like the evil.
But why they don't ever do the positive stories? Meaning, like, because all of this, I'm not saying it's not true, because it's definitely true, but propaganda works both ways. Mm-hmm. If there was a network that showed us, you know, these great men who did right by women and, you know, protected women and held women down, your perspective wouldn't lean so much to, you know, men ain't shit, I gotta go with the bear.
No, trust me, mm-hmm. I place in my algorithm men that I know there's a guy named Will Hitchens online. There is this podcast. It's these 4 young Black boys. I can't remember what the podcast is called right now, but I mean.
Oh, you're talking about
it starts with a J.
Jamming or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, they're from Chicago, I think.
I love them. Mm-hmm. I love them because it's just they take men and brosphere and red pillars to task. And their rhetoric is so respectful towards women, and they just have so much common sense for being so young. So I follow them. I follow Deontay Kyle. I definitely have an algorithm full of men that are, you know, that are allies to women. But I will also find myself in the comment section of certain things, and it's just. It's very polarizing, and it pulls you. And especially, you know, I mean, I've had my own experiences of being around a certain type of a certain group of men who exhibit groupthink, mm-hmm. And that groupthink tends to lean very misogynistically. So it has an effect on you, you know, as somebody who's just kind of like absorbing it. Simply just because I'm a woman and I'm the woman in the room kind of thing. It's just...
I listen, are there fuck boys out here? Yes, but I still believe in the circle of trust of humans. And I believe that the shooting percentage when it comes to the circle of trust of humans is still very, very high in spite of all the bullshit. And what do I mean by that? We wake up every day, mm-hmm. every single one of us, and we trust that we not gonna go crazy. I don't know none of these people in this room. Mm-hmm. But one of these motherfuckers could go crazy and fuck up the whole day for everybody. You could go to freaking Dunkin' Donuts and order a coffee, and it's that one person in the back who might decide, you know what, I'm gonna put some fucking, you know, fentanyl or arson in her shit. Or you might get in the car with the Uber driver, and that person decides to run off the road. My point is, we don't think about that type of stuff. You don't go into Dunkin' Donuts and think somebody's gonna put arson into your fucking drink. You don't order the Uber and jump in the car and think this person's gonna run me off the highway. You don't walk in rooms with perfect strangers and be like, okay, you know, who's gonna be the person that shoots this shit up? So there's a circle of trust that exists amongst humans. And in spite of all of the bullshit, we do pretty good at making sure that all of us are safe and protected. So I can't base everything off, you know, just the bullshit. Now, do I, you know, raise my daughters with that mentality? Yes, but I also let them know to be aware. Just like right now, I'm aware. I wouldn't walk in here with my own shooter if I wasn't aware. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the mentality you have to have. It's the reason we have life insurance. Like, you know, you have to be prepared. You don't want these things to happen, and you're not even expecting these things to happen. You're just, I guess, prepared if they do. But imagine if we had to wake up every day and just not trust anybody.
I mean, that would be really isolating. But
you're kind of doing that with the men.
No.
You started it off by saying, fuck niggas, get money. That's basically what you said. You was like, I don't want to be with nobody.
No, it's not that. I'll be completely honest. It has nothing to do with me not wanting to be with anybody right now at this particular stage in my life because of this massive career transition and spiritual transition. I'm having what I now understand as a spiritual awakening. And it has been so powerful that I don't think anybody needs to be there for at this moment. I need to be here with myself. And integrating everything that I've learned, you know, in a very short amount of time, especially at the retreat that I went to in Mexico. I'm at a point in my life where so much new information is being downloaded from source. I don't have anything to give to anybody right now because I'm still receiving.
I understand.
And that's literally it. Like, I have hope or a belief that there's the imperfectly perfect one out there for me. Source knows. I don't. I trust that they've got my best interests. But I don't think that I put a whole lot of importance on that. And I'll tell you why. I think that after a certain age, read perimenopause, women start to really take stock of their life. And I think also in this decade of life, the 40s, you really start to think about the meaning of life and also how meaningful your life is. And changes that you want to make, because also you're thinking about legacy and, you know, and just what impact or what what mark you want to leave on people, the world, whatever the case is. But I think what also happens to women at this point in time, because we are conditioned to be such people pleasers, and conditioned to center men. Everything else about our lives is accessory. The goal is to get a man, get claimed by a man. And by the time you hit this decade of life, women start looking around and be like, what did that get me? And not to say that there's not women who are like in very happy relationships and happy marriages and stuff like that. I'm pushing that aside. Let's just say that you're in my particular situation, or let's just say that you've been in a long-term marriage and haven't been happy for a really, really long time, and you think that the best thing would be to split apart. Women are in this decade, we start to really kind of analyze, what does life look like when we decenter men? And I want men to understand that does not mean that we don't love you or want to have you in our lives, but it's just this, it's radical self-acceptance. And the world and society teaches women to never accept yourself, that there's always room for improvement. That's why the self-help section of bookstores are mainly geared towards us. For you guys, it's get rich, get fit, for the most part. But for us, it's like, you're imperfect, change everything.
You know what's so crazy? I know so many men that are in their 40s right now who sound just like that. Like, literally, like they want a wife. Like, they want to have kids. Like, they're looking at you know, somebody like myself or somebody like Andrew, and they're like, damn, and I shouldn't even have said that because it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like friends of ours that are like, they want to be married, they want to have kids, they want to have the family. And I know a lot of guys that are like that in this moment. So I think that society would be a better place if men would express that.
I think
you know what I'm saying?
too.
If men would talk about how, you know, man, I don't want to be 45 years old, 46, 47 years old and not have a woman and not have a family. Like I want that. I think if men would have that conversation, men and women would stop missing each other. Cause trust me, am I judgmental? Yeah, I'm the judgmental person that looks at a man and be like, why you ain't got no kids, bro? Why you ain't married at 40 something years old? Like, why, you know what I'm saying? You 50 something in.
But are you okay with the fact that some people this isn't that, it's not that lifetime for marriage and kids?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying, you know, I'm the judgmental church lady. I'm just wondering, like, why is that person, you know, why, you know?
Do you think that there's different reasons as to why a woman wouldn't end up married with children and a man not ending up married with children?
A lot of women make the choice, and I can't speak for women. I'm just telling you from what I've heard. A lot of women make the choice because they choose their careers. A lot of women have been scorned, right? They've been with a guy and they thought that this guy was the one, and they thought that they were gonna get married, and it didn't work out, and so now it's just like, fuck men for life, right? And then some are just like, I never wanted to. I've heard like that's something I've been, you know, hearing Maya say, and I got a couple other women in my life. They're like, I never wanted to get married. I never wanted kids.
You know how much courage it takes a woman to actually admit that out loud? Society judges the shit out of us for that. But, you know, going back to men and, you know, their wants and their desires and their lack of ability to articulate that. I was having a conversation. I did a panel with 2 Chainz because he has a movie that is based on his life. It's called Red Clay, a short film.
I'm publishing his book next year too. His book is called The Voice in My Head is God.
Yes. He told me.
Comes out next year.
He told me. And he's just such a great guy. So in the film, there's a really poignant, pivotal moment towards the end of the film where the protagonist and one of the other guys who's his best friend, they share a moment of intimacy where they're hugging. And it's because one of them has just lost his mom, and it's very tragic, but I was struck by the intimacy of that moment and the expression of intimacy. And, you know, I said to the crowd that the first act of violence that the patriarchy commits is not against women, it's against young boys, because it forces them to carve out parts of their humanity because it's seen as feminine. And it's almost like masculinity is not defined by what it means to be a man. It's almost like it's defined by what it means to not be a woman. All of the things that can be seen as feminine are villainized. So you can't acknowledge those parts of yourself. When any indigenous person will tell you that the divine is masculine and feminine and acceptance of both. Those are the healthiest people. Those
are the ingredients that make us.
Exactly.
It's a man and a woman.
Exactly. So I feel like that's part of the problem that men experience later on in life is just they have this innate, almost like primal desire to want to acknowledge the feminine parts of themselves that they tried to kill off so long ago because society said they had to. And they also understand if they could connect to those parts, they'd probably have an easier time truly connecting with women.
Maybe we shouldn't label those parts. Maybe we shouldn't label a hug.
I agree with that.
Maybe we shouldn't label a hug as feminine, you know what I mean? Because I done seen, you know, people die and, you know, somebody get the news that the person dies and you know, whoever's close to you in that moment, that's who arms you're going to fall into. You know what I mean? So I think maybe we should stop labeling things like that.
Well, it goes back to the whole, you know, accusation of being homosexual from Dame, you know, and me talking about what intimacy is. That intimacy, they didn't slob each other down. They hugged each other. And it was...
Slobbing each other down would definitely be gay. But if you did that publicly, clearly you don't care.
Exactly, yeah. But the whole point is what I've realized is that through this lack of being able to connect to those parts, whatever you want to call them. We'll call them, just for the sake of argument right now, the feminine parts of yourself. you rob yourself of understanding what intimacy actually is. What I have
Absolutely.
experienced a lot in my life, and I know that a lot of women have experienced this, is men trying to create a false sense of intimacy. The only problem with that is that women are very, very, very good at understanding what intimacy is because we are intimate with each other. We understand that intimacy is literally like, yo, this ponytail is killing me. I sit down in front of my girl. She takes my ponytail out of my head and then starts to massage my head. And it doesn't mean anything other than that's my friend showing me comfort in an intimate manner. And it's permissible because we're women. And it makes me think, you know, I've thought long and hard. That actually happened like several months ago with one of my girlfriends. And it made me think and feel so sad for men because society has conditioned you guys to feel like you cannot show any level of intimacy to another human being, whether it be a woman, whether it be a man, whether it be somebody who identifies as non-binary, the gender spectrum, it doesn't matter. But it's just like, that's why a lot of times intimacy is like manufactured because men don't really kind of understand what it actually means.
I don't think we should use the word intimacy.
I love the word intimacy.
I think intimacy is for men, and women are people who are in a romantic relationship.
No.
I think that connection is what we should be striving for. And I'll tell you what, like going to the barber is a connection, right? Like you and your barber's cutting your hair, you know, if your barber's doing a great job, he's putting a hot towel on you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's like some barbers will take the this is gonna sound crazy. Takes a little vibrating thing and rubs it on your face, like, you know what I mean? Like that's a level of connection. And then you and the barber are talking. You and the barber might have like real intimate conversation. When guys get together and play video games, when they sitting in their house with them headsets on, and it's just them two. That's why Black Mirror was able to make a whole freaking episode called Striking Vipers. That led to gay, but I'm just saying it didn't have to lead to gay. It could have just been those two sharing that connectivity amongst each other. Yo. Something like getting in a cipher and passing a blunt back and forth. That's the level of connectivity that men have with each other. Working out, like, you know what I'm saying? You and your homeboy working out, and that's your partner, and you pushing them, you know, to do the best they can in the gym. I think the word we're looking for is connection, connectivity. I don't think men don't have to be intimate with each other. Like, intimate.
I'm learning.
Yeah, intimate is, to me, is when you're in a romantic relationship with somebody.
But I think that that's the thing. I mean, I think that when it comes to, you know, words matter, and our vocabulary has expanded so much just to, you know, in so many different facets of conversation. But I think that there needs to be like an expansion of understanding about that word intimacy in order for, I don't know, for radical change to happen between men and their own sense of radical self-acceptance, improvement within their, you know, group structures, and also their relationships with women.
Our men should be able to admit that we need human connection from other men. Like there's men say we got our man caves, and, you know, you and your boys get together to watch a football game and, you know, drink some beer. That's human connection. I mean, you know, those are, I hate that word when you dealing, but I guess intimate, that is an intimate experience, right? Like if you bring somebody into your man cave, and it's just you and the guy, and y'all sitting around watching the game, and y'all sharing conversations, and y'all feel good, because when you leave, you're like, man, I'm glad I was able to tell my homeboy that, and I'm glad I was able to share that with my homeboy. That is a level of intimacy. I just think that word intimacy, you think about it and you think about romantic relationships. Like, I'm not going around saying, yeah, man, you know, me and my homeboy had an intimate drive the other day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we shared an intimate moment while driving. Like, that's not how we're talking, but I will say we had a connection. Like, I like connecting with my homies.
Yeah.
I think that's the word we looking for.
One of the things I thought to myself about, you know, men and a lack of ability to feel like empathy, or like innately feel it, like it being like an automatic reaction to something, is because a lot of men did not grow up as boys reading fictional books. I'm not talking about like sci-fi or anything like that, or like, you know, whatever, comic books or maybe even anime. I shouldn't be prejudiced because I didn't read that stuff. But what fictional books teach us is, there's a protagonist, and it teaches us to put ourselves in other people's shoes, walk, through their lives, experience what they're experiencing, even though it's something maybe completely different from what we experience in our own daily lives. And through that, we kind of develop a sense of empathy. Would you say that that's a thing or no?
I don't think it's not a thing. I mean, one of the greatest things my mom told me, because she was an English teacher, so she used to always tell me to read things that didn't pertain to me. And that curiosity that she instilled in me, that caused me to just pick up so much different literature that had nothing to do with me, right? That's what led me to read so much Judy Blume and so much Beverly Cleary, because these stories were about these little white girls and these little white boys. We weren't that. So I would read about these people. But that level of curiosity transcended from literature to just people. And I think when you have conversations, right? Like if I have a conversation with you, like instead of just, and I'm going back to the bear example, if I'm on social media and if I'm looking at these women and they're having a conversation about feeling safer around bears, all right, I need to see what the fuck's going on. Like I need to have a conversation with a woman I know. I don't want to talk to a bot in the comments. If I see a woman I know in these comments and they say they feel safe around a bear, I want to have a conversation with that individual, because then maybe I'll get a better understanding of why women feel this way. And I think that's something that we don't do. We stay in our bubbles, we stay in our communities, and we don't have conversations with people about things that don't necessarily pertain to us. And I think if we did, we'd have more empathy.